You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. With me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And every week, I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid, working, unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready? Hello and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Actors. I'm so happy to have you here. We're into, I think this is our 70th episode. Wow. Who knew that 70 episodes later, the podcast would be growing and growing and growing and growing at the rate it is. I'm so excited because we have listeners all over the world, Europe, Canada, America, Australia, all over the UK, in Asia as well. It is just so exciting. And I feel like this is a really good way to start the podcast, which will help you as an actor, because consistency is key. Obviously, we're going to be talking today about how you can create more acting opportunities for yourself. But I want to start off with that consistency is key thought for you to keep in mind throughout this episode. Now, if you are new here, I am Louise. I am an acting coach who specialises in method acting. And I have been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way through to Amazon Prime films, Netflix dramas, TV soaps, stage plays around the world, and getting signed by incredible agents for almost 13 years. And I love this job more than anything. I wouldn't even call it a job, it's a way of life. And so I can help you as well. Now, in these podcast episodes, I go into a lot of detail, a lot of depth, but there's even more that you can learn beyond the podcast. I know, can you believe it? So if you like what you hear in today's podcast and you want to learn more and take this to a more advanced level, I am inviting you to join our 2-hour free of charge online workshop on Sunday, the 30th of April, which is called The Business of Acting, Raise Your Profile, Land More Roles. This is a phenomenal workshop, if I do say so myself. People who have been in the past have walked away, obviously learning a hell of a lot from the workshop, like way more than we can even put into the podcast episodes. They've walked away feeling confident, buzzing, excited to get themselves out there. And it's really led to them, moving forwards with their acting career at a much quicker pace. So I highly encourage you to go and check it out and enroll. The link is underneath the podcast. So let's get on with it. How are you going to create more acting opportunities to yourself? Well, what I want to say before I dive into this is some of the things that I'm going to share with you may not be relevant for where you are right now. So if you are right at the very beginning of your acting career and you don't have any networks and you don't really know anyone in the industry, then what I would say is download this and keep referring back to it until you've built up a bit more experience, because this is going to come in handy for you. And it will put you one step ahead of everyone else and give you edge over other actors. What I do want to say, though, is if you have got an agent, don't get caught up in solely relying on them to get you work. And when you do get your first agent, if you're quite early on in your acting career, I'm going to say the same thing to you. When you do get that first agent, yes, of course, it's very exciting. And it's like, woohoo, someone believes in me. So excited. Lots of amazing things are going to happen. But again, don't get caught up in solely relying on an agent to get your work. You have still got to put the effort in. You have still got to be creating opportunities for yourself as well. So when you do get an agent, it's got to be a collaboration. They're doing their bit, submitting for you. Hopefully they are following up the submissions that they've put you forwards for and, trying their best to get you into the room. But you can be doing things at the same time as well, which will make their job easier as well. So it has to be a collaboration in my mind. Now, obviously, casting sites are one way of creating more opportunities for yourself. And I do believe you should be on casting sites until you've got to a point where you don't need them anymore. And you're going to have a little look into which ones are the best for where you are, because we've got actors around the world listening to this podcast. And I have to be honest and say, I don't know which casting sites you should be on in Australia or in Canada or in the States. I do know the ones in the UK, but I'm not so familiar with the ones away or outside from the UK. But what you can do if you want to get some answers is you can come and join our Unstoppable Actors Facebook group and ask in there, see if there are any actors from the country that you're in and what casting sites they would recommend. So that is one way of creating more opportunities for yourself. But you've got to be consistent with it. And this word consistent is going to keep cropping up throughout this episode. Casting sites are not there just to have a look on every now and then. You've got to be looking on them daily. So I would be saying create a routine. Maybe look on them for 10 minutes at 11 a.m, if that's possible with your day job, and then again at about 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for 10 minutes again, if that's possible with your day job. So you're looking on them twice a day. Yes, it's going to get a bit laborious because sometimes it's like anything, isn't it? Sometimes there's going to be loads of opportunities that come all at once. There'll be a flurry of them. And then at other times it'll be dead and there'll not be very much. But I think the most important thing is that you create a solid routine and you stick to it, because then it becomes habit. And you're going to be able to spot those opportunities quicker. Of course, there are Facebook groups and Twitter as well, where you can find more opportunities and create them for yourselves. But that's just two ways of ensuring that you are being proactive with your acting career, because this is what it comes down to. But there are other ways as well, things that you may or may not have thought of, or things that you need refreshing on. So one way is keep posting on your socials. You never know who is watching, who is seeing your tweets. You just don't know. You don't know who's seeing your Instagram posts on your Instagrid. So keep posting on your socials. Be consistent with that. Aim to post regularly. It doesn't have to be every day. I think the great thing about Instagram, even though Twitter is where there seems to be more actors and more activity, I like Instagram because, and this is just my personal preference, you might prefer Twitter over Instagram, and that's absolutely fine. But on Instagram, I can post stories that are quite, and I use the stories as quite a relaxed way of posting, whereas I use the grid as a bit more of a formal way of posting. But I still post regularly on there. And I do still post regularly on Twitter as well, even though I've not quite cracked the algorithm with it. But keep posting, because you don't know who is watching, you don't know who's seeing your tweets and your Instagram posts. And that's the thing, there is an algorithm with them, but don't get sucked into, worrying about that. As long as you're posting, that's all you can do, really. And engage with other brands and companies that are in the acting industry. So you can start to create more opportunities that way. This is a bit of a long game strategy, because just because you're posting regularly doesn't mean you're going to get an acting job straight off the back of your first post. But what I've noticed, which leads me into my next point, is that you can use hashtags strategically on your socials to make you searchable. And I do that. And that has led to casting directors reaching out to me and asking me to audition for things. It doesn't happen all the time. I don't want to fill your head with hope that every single tweet or every single Instagram post that you put out there is going to result in a casting director reaching out to you or a director of an independent film. But it has happened a few times with myself. And that's because I am using those hashtags strategically. And that means that when a casting director or a director puts the word in, when they put that word in, your post is going to come up, and that means that you've made yourself searchable. So start to see socials as a bit of a search directory or a casting directory. Start to think of it in those terms. Now, the other way that you can create more opportunities for yourself with your acting career is to keep relationships going with the people that you've worked with in the past. This is one of those tips that is for those who are a little bit further ahead, a little bit further down the line with their acting career. But for those of you that are right in the early stages, take note of this now. When you do start building up your relationships, with directors, producers, writers, sound recordists, the DOP, the first AD, the stage manager, whoever it is, keep those relationships going. Not in an overbearing, overwhelming way, but try to create genuine relationships with these people and keep them going so that these people have you top of mind when opportunities do come up that they know of. And also as well, you can strike up relationships with those that you want to work with. You know, if for example, there's a director you've seen on Instagram, and you really love their work and you would really love to be brought into the room for one of their projects, then strike up a relationship with them. Maybe comment on a few of their posts, not all at once, otherwise you might look like a bit of a stalker. But you know, like, comment on a few posts every now and then when they post something new. And then eventually you could reach out to them in DMs and you could strike up a relationship that way. You've got to be brave to do that, but if you don't try that, you'll never know what's going to happen, will you? So don't get sucked into your head with stories of, oh yeah, but I'm going to seem like a weirdo, or I bet they get people all the time messaging them, what's going to make me different. Just try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It doesn't really matter, does it? At least you've put it out there, and it will start to get you into a habit of doing this. Again, this is another long game strategy. But as I say in many of the podcasts, I hope you are in this for the long game. I hope it's not a fad. I hope it's not an overnight thing. Because when you start doing these tips and things that I'm telling you regularly and you become consistent with them, again, there's that word consistent, eventually they snowball. The snowball effect takes place. And it might take like a year or something for something to come out of this, but all that work has been for something. It's not been in vain. So then the next thing you can do is you can get yourself out to press nights for stage shows. You can also get yourself out to film events, networking events, or film screenings with independent companies. And you can either go up to people and introduce yourself. You can be brave and courageous and do that. Or if you go with a friend who's also in the acting industry, you could ask them to introduce you to the people that they know. This is something that I've done, and I find it really useful when somebody else introduces me to their network, because you want to be tapping into other people's networks as well. A lot of this industry is combining what you know with who you know. I'm not 100% sure I buy into the idea that it's who you know, not what you know. I do believe it's combining the two. I do believe what you know, the craft, is very, very important. And when you combine that with who you know, then you've got a recipe for success. So those are just a few ways that you can start creating more opportunities for yourself. And really, this is about networking, most of it. But I don't like to use that word networking because it makes us feel a bit cringe. It makes us tense up if we don't feel like we're very good at it. Instead, I like to use the phrase building authentic relationships, because that is what it is about, really, isn't it? Even when you look to the big A-list actors, whether that be stage work, TV work, film work, whatever medium it is, a lot of directors work with the same actors, and that's because they've built that relationship up where they trust each other and they know it's a good creative relationship. And that's what you want to start doing as well. So as I said, we can take this much further in the online workshop on Sunday the 30th of April. The workshop is The Business of Acting, Raise Your Profile, Land More Roles, and we'll be looking at how you can create more opportunities for yourself in other ways as well. So if that's what you want to do and you want to take this further, go and click that link and save yourself a spot. And I'll see you in the next episode. I have absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. Now, if you did, I'd really love you to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a review. And if you would like weekly injections of inspiration, you'd like mini method acting challenges to keep you making progress with your dreams, come and join the most supportive acting community online by clicking the link in the notes to help you become an unstoppable actor.